This is Marcus Hollinger, and this is the 116 Live Show on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 154.
Okay, welcome. Thank you, listener, if you're tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Marcus, and I'm here with my homeboy,
Ace Harris.
and this is the 116 Live on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 154. And today we have in studio with us a dynamic duo.
I love that.
A 1-2 punch. Black excellence. Holiness. Children of God. We have Wande and Erinn Knight.
I feel like I need a snare or something.
Yeah. We might have to
just
get us a live drum up here to play up these moments.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is a vibe. This is great.
It really is. And for those who have been living under a rock, I'd like to start by really with you, Wande. How is 2023 landing on you as an artist? How are you showing up this morning?
Yeah, so I would say 2023, it's been spectacular. So I have no complaints about 2023. I think definitely getting back into being, I guess, an artist again. So, I've been an artist, but I would say, from the pandemic-ish till 2022 was definitely, more of a break period in terms of just different things going on. But, yeah, I would say this year, we're getting back to the music, getting back to the hits, so it's going to be a fun time.
I love that. Well, I'm curious. That makes me really curious, though. You said getting back to being an artist. There's obviously that component of making music. Could you say more about that? The getting back to being an artist? I feel like there's a lot maybe to assume within that, but I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I would say I don't know. I feel like as a human, I've been going on a personal journey, and so I just been analyzing who do I want to be and what are my goals, and then what is the lifestyle of someone who has those particular goals. And so with that, I observed back in 2019 when I first got signed, I was up in the studio all the time, but I was doing that for fun, but it resulted in a whole bunch of music getting put out. It resulted in not having to force songs because I was just actively always working. And so I just kind of realigned that now because my life is way busier now, but with it being way busier, still aligning okay, if your goal is to be this particular type of artist, then on the back end, that results in you need to be in the studio this amount of times a month type stuff. And so, yeah, I've just been back in the studio more, just creating, making great music.
And speaking of being busier, I feel like it's always smart when artists have great teams. And I just wanted to kind of just see how you feeling, Erinn, because I feel like y'all's chemistry is crazy for those who, I know we got a fly in the studio, for those who know or don't know. Talk about, how you feeling, how you guys are taking in this year and how you guys work together and everything like that.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I feel the same. I think there's a resonant excitement with the team. Nage is the third component of our team. And
shout out Nage.
Yeah, what up, Nage?
The life of the party, you know what I'm saying?
Literally, yeah.
All the time.
But she really keeps us grounded because, Wande is the artist and I'm kind of, I got a lot going on. I'm
the mogul.
Erinn. I don't know.
She didn't turn that one down, Mark.
I won't say that I'm a mogul. I think people think I should be a mogul because I have a lot of passions and I happen to own a lot of businesses, but I just want to be happy. So I'm not shirking that, but I'm not quite.
Yeah, I mean, if it falls on you, you know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah. It's not the goal, though.
Okay, for sure.
But yeah, I think coming into this year, we all just felt like there was something different. Even the fall of last year, we were prophesying over this year I can just feel like God is moving us. We had some rough patches, I would say, communicationally with the team in 2020 or 2021. And then 2022, I felt like our synergy and our connectedness really grew. And every meeting we were praying for unity and praying that God would bring us together. And now I feel I think we all like each other as humans in general, but there's a personal synergy that's combined with a business alignment that's just it's kinetic, it's like nothing but energy surging. So it's really easy to be on a team like that when everybody's aligned and focused and desire. And like we're the winning, we're the win gang, win team. We call our meetings the winner circle, so it's like we're already in that mindset. But to be united with Wande, she doesn't see herself as like, oh, this is Team Wande. Like we are Team Wande, but she's like, no, this is the winner's circle. Like we're moving this win gang
so
forward, and that I work with a lot of artists, and having that type of mindset makes everything easier.
And I feel like you spoke about alignment. I feel like the spiritual alignment just stuck out to me. Obviously, this is the 116 life, being unashamed of the gospel and how that impacts everything we do. But I just don't want to gloss over the fact that y'all were praying, prophesying like that. In terms of team building, like we can get up here and talk strategy, talk brands, marketing, aesthetic, but the fact that y'all are aligning on that front is just so like dope to me.
And I think it's definitely a blessing because like, especially as I talk to like some of my peers and stuff who have management issues, 'cause some of them are personal issues, but but I think it's also just a blessing, honestly, just to like have a team, because it's like, it's kind of like a relationship. Like people are praying to be in a relationship, and sometimes it just doesn't happen for you, like because you have to align not only like on a personal level, but then that person has to actually be responsible. Yeah. So like I think it's definitely a blessing just to be with people who legitimately love Jesus, people who legitimately are intelligent, and people who can actually execute. So praise the Lord. We let us see it.
Facts.
Yeah. And so, but with the spiritual thing you were saying too, like it's definitely crazy because Erinn, she be keeping us grounded spiritually. So
and be throwing them scriptures
like
out.
we be like talking, and then she be like, "Hold on, did we even pray in the meeting?" Yeah. It's like, "Oh yeah, you're right." And so then we'll get back to the prayer, or like just in general too, like. Sometimes we'll have goals and she'll be like, all right, let's just pray about it. If God wants it to happen, it's going to happen. Love that. We've seen some crazy results happen by praying. Literally. So yeah, big facts. So
I think what I'm hearing and what's been said is you all are coming into the year and there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of excitement. You all have a trajectory. And I so want to hear about that. And I want to dig into a bit of how we got here, sort of the road to paving this place. So Wande, I would like to ask you, maybe and even as a way for some of our listeners who probably don't know your story, as an artist, you've been signed to Reach now. You joined the label in 2019. And prior to that, you had been making music. You had about a full year where you were dropping a single a month. And I remember when I became aware of that, you were about 10 songs in at that point. Wande, prior to Reach, what was the moment that you felt as an artist that, oh, I can do this. Like, I'm going to be a career artist?
Yeah, I think for me, like I knew from the beginning. So shout out. God.
Okay.
No, but I think you can even ask Erinn.
I love it.
It's real.
I love it.
I do.
You can even ask Erinn. Like once I have a goal, like it's like we doing it, bro. Yeah, but I think it's whenever just the Lord spoke to me. So like I really be having confidence in God. So I'm like, hey, if God said it, it's gonna happen. So it was about the time I was like maybe 16-ish. It was pretty sudden. So I found out I could rap when I was about 15, and I turned 16 like 3 months later. And so it was like a science project, and my teacher was like, hey, if you don't want to do like a PowerPoint, you can rap. And so I rapped, and then everybody was really impressed. And I just noticed that it was very powerful because people would stare like intently at me while rapping, and I was like, this is really powerful. And so I had given my life to Jesus like a year before, and I was really passionate about like telling kids at lunch about Jesus. And so I was like, oh, perfect. This is way more efficient. I can just tell you about Jesus while rapping, since apparently it has your attention.
Wow.
And so at first it was just casual, like just rapping at lunch and telling people about Jesus. And then it kind of got annoying because it was so like it basically people started gravitating to me like crazy. And so I was like, okay, I'm not rapping every day. So I went on YouTube and learned how to record myself. And then I started showing people YouTube videos, and I was like, oh, hey, you can just watch this YouTube video, listen to the song.
Efficiency.
Little freestyle sermonette.
Yo, that's crazy.
She's always been up there.
LOL. And so that's kind of how it started. And then maybe after a year, then God was like, oh, I want you to do this. I want you to do this for real. And I was like, I was actually scared though, because I was like, what am I gonna tell my parents? Because I'm Nigerian, and like my whole life up until that point has like been modeled after being like a doctor, a surgeon. I was like in a whole medical program too, and I was like, this is very awkward. But God like made it very clear, like if you don't do this, like I will send somebody else to do it. So like it's like very important that I need you to do this.
That's
and
amazing.
I was like, it's like, okay, God, I guess we're doing this. And so ever since then, it was dedicated to the vision.
And I feel like that was obviously like a lot of like moments and time. I guess that's through high school. You went to college. It was UT.
Yeah, University of Texas.
Talk to us about. I mean, you went to college to get a degree, but you always knew that you were gonna like, man. Hey, thanks, mom and dad, but I'm gonna rap. Is that like?
Yeah. So I was just very strategic with what I did. I think it's very important to like protect your goals, especially if God told you to do something. And so I know like the Nigerian mentality is like, be a doctor, whatever. But I was still going to be obedient to God. So like major wise, I didn't do something in science. So I was like, let me do something that's not exactly rapping, but let me do something that's decently related. And so the music program there, like you had to play like a classical instrument. And I was like, I feel like this is not going to help my goal. So I did journalism and PR because then I was like, I can interview rappers and I can go to music festivals. And so
you interned at
Shout out
Rapzilla.
to the journalism majors out there. If anybody else happens to have a journalism degree,
I mean, I got a marketing degree. How about that?
yeah, shout out to that.
How about
too.
I'm
that?
degreeless.
You have graduated from I'm on my
from
university.
Life University.
Literally.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
Talk to you had interned at Rapzilla for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
So I interned with Rapzilla and I interned with the Recording Academy for the Grammys as well. And so, I mean, that was lit. So shout out to my friends.
At this time, Erinn, were you aware? Had you seen? Were you tapped in a little bit?
A little bit.
Okay.
So crazy story. And she knows this, so this isn't a shot, but she was a big fan of Caleb Mitchell, an artist that I still manage. Well, really, he's signed to our label now, but he, so she used to do like covers to his songs.
I did not know that.
So I had seen her, and I'm really tapped in with anybody, all of my artists. If they have a core fan, I usually know who they are. I know what city they're in, whatever. So I was trying to throw a South by Southwest show when she was in school. It was her last year in school, and I could not get a venue. I didn't live down there. I didn't have any relationships in Austin. So I just shoot her a DM. I'm like, yo, and she's following me. I'm not even following her. So I had to follow her to shoot the DM. I'm like, yo, can you help me get a venue? I've been trying to get a venue to throw a show at South by Southwest. In 2 weeks, she had a venue for me. She pulled up at the venue. She FaceTimed me, and she was like, all I want is you to put me on the show. So I started telling everybody, I don't really like this chick's music, but we're going to work together one day. She'll probably work for me, or we'll start a business together because she's a young mogul. I used to tell people that, like, because the way that she moved, how efficient she was, but she worked at her craft the same way she works at business. And now she's fire.
Yo,
you know what I'm saying?
I did not. I've been knowing y'all for a while. I did not know that.
I shot her a DM, and she got me at South by Southwest booking. I put her on the show, and then we just maintained a relationship since then.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so we kind of you brought us up to some of the internships you have, and this is a part of the story where all of us coming together starts to take place.
Yeah.
You reached out to intern at Reach. And there's something that stuck with me. You said this aspect of protecting your goals. And you described it in your major, the major that you chose, but you're interning at a label. So you're here at Reach Records as an intern, but you're also releasing music. What can you tell us about a moment during that internship where maybe you felt that goal protection being afoot? Because like you're in the building that one day you would eventually become an artist at, but that hasn't quite happened yet. What was it like to protect your goal? Or can you tell us about a moment of protecting your goal at that time?
Yeah, I think it kind of just translates also to like part 2 whenever I was like actually working here. I think that's more like the season where it's more protecting your goal. Because for me, part 1, internship, I was just living my best life. I was like, oh yeah, I'm at the label. Like, because most people like from Round Rock or even let alone Africa, Nigeria, like they don't get to like work at labels or do stuff like that or travel out of state. So for me, I was just chilling, living my best life. I had a scholarship, so I was just like enjoying the fulfillment of just being here. So for me, it was just more of like, let me just do a good job. Like, so I was never out here like, oh yeah, listen to my mixtape. Like, so literally I just did my job, went home. But then I think the internship, they had like a rap project or whatever at the end. So then I was like, okay, maybe this will be the moment when it happens, but it didn't happen. But yeah, for me, like the internship, I was just like, let me just do a good job, because at the end of the day, if God wants it to happen, I won't be back type stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Such a faith nut, and she did a great job.
She
which
did.
is why I don't know. I don't want to go into the story because it could take a minute. But I mean, as an intern, Wande was passing me beats, passing me artists. This is my first post at Reach as an A&R. Like, and she was the intern for that summer semester. You had passed me, I think, a producer who ended up producing for RG. You passed me an artist who did the hook for the song that became God Flex with Tadashi, an artist named Daramola. Like, I was like, so after the internship was over as an A&R, I was thinking, I like this girl. She's talented. I think I knew you could rap, but I wasn't sure. I was like, my thought was, we need her in the building.
Yeah.
We need her in the building. I don't know what that looked like. We need her in the building.
And it kind of became this thing between me and Ace, because at the same time, I love Erinn. You talked about like the energy.
Yeah.
It's like every time I was around Wande, I was like, man, I just like her. Like, she's always positive and confident and reassuring, and somehow she's able to take the positivity that she feels and pass it on to you.
Facts.
And I remember I followed you on social media. And I was just like, yo, this is cool. Like, I was like, yo, and I would like show you videos, you know, you wouldn't be around. I'd be like, we'd be in our exec meetings, and I'd be like, does anybody here follow Wande online? Like, yo, she's really cool. Like, her content is dope. She's got a personality. This is really, really cool. And I think you dropped that, and I knew you were dropping music, and I just really enjoyed seeing the way you promoted it and just seeing how you showed up. And it was when she got aesthetic with
Not Clyde.
Not
with
Clyde.
that joint.
That's
I
something
was
you
like,
work with too, right?
That was the first song that I was like, yo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that was probably the same moment.
yeah, say I was like, because I was already a fan online, and I would bring it up. I'd be like, is anybody following Wande online? Is anybody? And it was kind of like, all right, Marcus, like, we hear you. And when that joint dropped, I think I played it in the office.
Yeah. It was on the Sonos, bro.
Yeah, we put that mug in the Sonos, and one day it was like, you would see this moment where she'd be like, oh, they playing my music. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. Yeah, I made it. Like, it was like, yo, this is a vibe.
You know, that song had the streets of Atlanta rocking. I heard it because my unsaved homies were like, yo, you know this chick Wande?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know Wande. They're like specifically, I remember being on a road trip with some artists that we were going to an event, and they were like, yo, you know what? I'm like, yeah. And they played this song and then ran it back to back like 3 times. I was like, what? And then I went to an event like 2 weeks later, and one of the DJs was playing the song. I was like, so that was something that started getting my gears turning, like, yo, she's like got people paying attention to what she has going on.
She got aesthetic. Yeah, yo, that I love that song, and it did feel like that was a turning point where it was like, wow, she's really taking this serious. And what was most impressive was that you had been putting out. I think we had a conversation. I asked you, I was like, hey, so what are you like? What's up? What are you doing? You're like, oh, my goal has been to put out a song every month. And I'm like, wait, it's October. And I remember I went and I pulled up your Spotify, and it was like, oh, she's put out like somewhere between like 8 and 10 songs this year. There was this dedication to what you said, and there was this dedication, there was this consistency, and that was just really impressive to discover this, that an intern in the building was doing this music.
Yeah.
And being consistent with it, and also doing a great job as an intern.
For sure. Yeah. I feel like, I think there's so much more to dive into on how that moment left to the next stage of like her being signed. I think there's some backstory needs to be shared. Maybe some misses, some cool stuff. I think a lot of like I don't know if the full story's ever been expressed or explained on a platform standpoint. So I think it'll be good to kind of get into that.
Yeah, let's do that. So if you're listening in, if you're just joining us, my name is Marcus, and I'm joined here by my homeboy
Ace Harris.
and this is the 116 Life. We're in studio with Wande and Erinn Knight, and we're talking about the origin of Wande's career, her management relationship, her business relationship with Erinn, and just how she kind of got into the game. So if you hang around, we're going to take a quick break and hear some more kingdom building Christian hip hop, and we'll be right back to dive more into the story. Keep it locked. It's 116 Life. This is Holy Culture Radio. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is the 116 Life. My name is Marcus Hollinger, and I'm here with my homeboy
Ace Harris.
And we're in studio with Wande and Erinn Knight, thanks to Holy Culture Radio on Sirius XM channel 154. And we were talking about the beginnings of Wande's career. For those who may not know, Wande is the first woman artist signed to Reach Records, and she's been having a phenomenal career that began in 2019. Her music has been featured on Michelle Obama's playlist. Her music has been featured on ESPN during March Madness. She's also had her music featured in Netflix shows and
Apple commercials.
Apple commercials.
Shout out God.
Ulta Beauty
Yeah.
has programmed and used Wande's music. And so far, we've tracked out the beginnings of Wande's career. Her first rap was performed as a chemistry experiment. And we talked about her joining the Reach Records family. And Ace was getting ready to bring us behind the curtain a bit on some of the, would it be fair to call it the business angle? We talked a lot about the relational angle, but some of the business angle, and Ace, it seemed that there was some aspects of the story that maybe I don't even know about. So yeah, man, just want to kind of give you the floor to drop us right back in there.
Yeah, and Wande, you can help me with this story if I miss a few things. I know, and so 2018, you had graduated from college. I hired you as an A&R assistant. Shout out. You could have made a lot more money, a lot more places. You're smart, you're intelligent, you're talented. And I just wanted her in the building, right? So Wande's literally like doing like split sheets. How humble, right? She's rapping after hours, killing it, going into Reach, making entry-level salary, doing split sheets, A&R admin, basically helping, and also providing a lot of value with giving me feedback on music. And we found out, we knew that she rapped. I knew that she rapped. I was obviously aware, but I wasn't like tapped in the way I should have been, right? So I think it was the Christmas album 2018 where you had done a verse that we all loved and we pushed. But I want you to talk about, how did you feel knowing that I personally knew you could rap, heard your music. I was even passing you beats, I think, but I wasn't like, yo, let's sign Wande. How did it feel working as an A&R assistant at an entry-level salary at the record label that you grew up being in love with and feeling like, dang, they ain't rocking with me, or Ace ain't, like, how did that feel?
Yeah, I would definitely say it was trying for my mental health.
Oh.
But yeah, I would say like, cause definitely like Darius, like we're married now, so I would like call him and be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. But
what would you say when you say?
Well,
can't?
no, I think it was so like it's interesting because there were so many dynamics to it. So like for me, like I think it was a journey for me of like me and God personally talking of like, okay, God, I know that you have a plan. So whatever your plan is, just let me know. But I also had a conversation with God, which was like, I know you told me to rap, but you didn't tell me like, oh, it's going to be a label or whatever. So I also had a conversation with God, which is really funny because this is the day before I got signed. It was just hilarious. I had a conversation with God and I was like, hey, you know what, God? Whatever capacity you want me to rap in, I'm totally fine with that. So like, if that's churches.
Hold on. Sorry. Those kind of comments get me fired up.
That's like, amazing.
But yeah, I was like, if that's churches and like, I'm cool with that, like, and it's totally fine or whatever. Cause yeah, I think sometimes we can impose our own desires and it's like, God said this, he didn't say all of that. He said this. So I was like fully content with that aspect. which is so funny because I made an Instagram video, like it's literally documented. I made an Instagram video. I was like, yeah, I feel like God's talking to me and he's telling me this. And then I feel like my life is going to change though. And it's funny because the next day, that's whenever y'all like called me into the office to like offer me the contract.
Day.
It's crazy. It's almost like God was like, okay, you learned the lesson. Here you go. But
Portia says a sign of restoration is speed. And she talks about how when we submit and God restores our heart, then typically the things that we're looking for start to happen quickly.
Yo, Portia, we're gonna have that. We're gonna have to have Portia in.
Facts.
big facts.
Okay, Portia Love quoted as saying, delivered by Erinn, a sign of restoration is speed.
I'm sure she got it from someone else, but it's just Portia's quote for me now.
She's got a couple of those floating
Yeah.
around.
The
there.
reason why I resonate with what you said one day, because it was literally me being 24 years old, where I heard a sermon spoken about surrendering your dreams and like how idolizing what you want for your life so bad. And that sermon changed my life. And literally like 2-3 years later, my music aspirations started to fall into place. And that's just amazing. But talk about mental health. How did you feel working, not for me, but in my department?
Yeah.
I'm the A&R, head of A&R. You rap. And Lecrae's even asking me to ask you to find other female rap artists.
Yeah.
Tell me about, this is like really tense. Talk about how you felt, your humility, your grace, and
Because especially you mentioned mental health. Like
Yeah.
I want definitely want to hear more about that.
Yeah, so I would just say it was a very transformational process for me because, like, how I said one aspect was, like, me and God. So, like, I think God definitely showed me through that process, like, him blessing other people has nothing to do with you. So, like, he can bless them and bless you. So, so at first, like, I went through different emotions. I went through emotions where I was like, man, God, I feel invisible because I feel like you told me to rap, but obviously they're telling me to find other people. But then on the flip side, then I was like, okay, well, maybe God wants that person to get signed and maybe that person's going to advocate for me. I don't know. So I was just like going through different seasons. But I'm actually really grateful because I think that's a lesson I definitely needed to learn because, especially as a woman in hip hop, like literally every day people trying to put us against each other. And so I'm so grateful because now like we have a whole like Holy Girl community. And it's so beautiful. But I think if I didn't learn that lesson, it could be completely different. Like I could feel threatened by other people and be like, oh, well, they're coming up. Even people will say that to you. Like they'll be like, oh, well, that person's coming up. What are you going to do about it? And it's like, that's none of my business. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So I would just say, I would say it was hard though, because I was just like, God, didn't you tell me this? So like, what the heck? So for me, it was more trying for my mental health because it was more of like feeling invisible and being like, I know God told me this, or my circumstances are not aligning with this. And so it was funny though. I actually had an exit strategy. I was actually going to potentially leave after a year. And so I was like, but like, cause I actually really enjoyed my job though. So like, the working part was cool, but because of my mental health and like being like, I really feel like God told me to do this. At one point I was like, okay, in a year, I'll make a presentation as to why I should be signed. And you know, if it doesn't work out, then you know, be like, it was a great year.
I'm glad that didn't happen. And I'm glad because I liked you as an artist. You were working with me, and I have blind spots. So yes, the record be known, Ace wasn't fully on board initially with Wande at Reach Record. I have no shame saying that. I was like, yeah, I like her. I think she's cool. I think I heard some talent there, but in his little refinement. Shout out my man Marcus. Marcus would come to exec meetings and basically hold us hostage and say he was pulling a Kanye, like jumping on tables. Y'all need to sign Wande.
Wow.
I don't think this is really how it went down.
I didn't know that.
Like, and then obviously, you know, D and Katie were like, yes. And I was like, yeah, I know she's. I was like, I can be very picky. I can be a bit of a creative snob. I have my blind spots.
We're the same with that. So I respect it. We're very much the
initially,
same.
you said that you had some reservations.
I was like,
sorry, is this comfortable for you?
No, she knows this about both of us.
You were like, you weren't sure. Like,
no, I wasn't into her at all. I was like, I'm not into her music, but I love her energy. She's a young mogul. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does kind of paint a picture of team because Ace is right, and I gotta say,
Kanye, he was on. If y'all think Marcus is this cool, calm, collected, refined gentleman, this boy got a hood switch that like it can just go there real quick. That's my dog.
And that definitely was that's been an area of growth for me because I did and I was.
Riding hard.
Man, I was like, my bass personality was coming out in those days, and I just remember being like, this is not a discussion. Like, what are we?
It was real. It was, but we honestly, let's be honest too. Wande optically was creating a fan base, energizing the Christian hip hop scene. People were I was dumb to not be like, yo, there's something here. I mean, it was kind of like a moment of like, this needs to happen.
Yeah.
And then we had got together as an exec team. I think this is after the Christmas album. We kind of knew, and we had called Wande. Remember, you could talk to how that moment happened. You said you prayed that night, and the next day, what happened?
Yeah, so we had like done like some artist review meetings. So we started doing that, implementing that. And so we had done one for like, I think it was Few. And like, it was a legitimate meeting. Like, we were in the studio and went over his year. And then we were like, oh, what are your goals for next year? And we planned it. And then you were like, okay, we're going to do another one tomorrow for RG. So I was like, okay, perfect. And so, but then, yeah. So meanwhile, I guess I get home from work, and then that's whenever me and God had that conversation while I'm in my car. And then the next day, I'm prepared to have this meeting for RG, talk about his career and whatever, and his goals for the year. So then, yeah, you call me into the conference room, and you're like, oh, yeah, let's have this meeting. And we're sitting there, and then we're like, oh, man, where's RG? And it's like, oh, he's running late. And then we're like, oh, yeah, that's normal. He's an artist, you know. And then, yeah, we're just sitting there. And then we talked about She Got Aesthetic. So y'all used to play that song every day.
We did.
Yeah, and so that also was a mental health thing, too.
Was that giving you?
So that was hard for my mental health because it was like,
dang, Marcus.
No, but it was hard for my mental health because y'all play the song every day. Everybody in the office would get up and start dancing. Then I was like, okay, this is cool, but are y'all signing me or not? And so it was like, so it was a weird thing of like, is this a joke or like, because it's like, it's not a joke to me. It's very serious to me. But
and that's so fun. It's really cool. Man, Wande, I didn't know that's what you were going through, because on the other side of that, and I think again, this is a work of team, is like that's what was kind of happening, and for me it was like, man, I don't want to blow the spot. Like I don't want to prematurely, because it was and I don't want to say it, because sometimes it happens like that. It could be any member of our team who sees something that the others don't see, and in that instance, that was just the position that I was in, where I was like, man, like, yo, like, come on, like, we gotta make this move. But at the same time, seeing you every day and playing your music and almost being like, yo, Wande, like, how are you? All this stuff, but on the inside being like, oh, and not knowing that that's what you were experiencing. I now in hindsight see God as our unspoken teammate who was preparing our team, who was preparing Ace, who was preparing our exec team, and who was preparing you, and was bringing the circumstances and the situation to happen when it was time for it to happen. And it has to be one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite moments of being here at Reach is that process, and not just the process of signing you, but even how we rolled you out, because we had the tour the timing was so perfect. You got the Blessed Up record done, then it was a rush to, you know, get you on that Orlando show. It's like, Orlando's our #1 market. The fans are gonna be crazy down there. We gotta get her. And just the collaboration that it took to make that moment happen has to be one of my favorite Reach Records moments.
I would love to just hear, like, you're sitting in that office, we start playing the song. What walk us through what happens next?
Yeah, so She Got Aesthetic comes on, and then the exec team, they're like walking out, and then they walk in the room and start dancing. But because that was a reoccurring pattern every day, I was like, oh, you know, it's a joke. So, and then also the conference room has clear doors for people listening. So it's clear. So I was like, oh, they probably just saw us in there. They heard the song. They're going to dance, and then they're going to go to lunch. And so,
oh man,
and then
we're gonna dance.
It's funny, but no,
then we're gonna get some
it
food.
was a thing though. It was like a 30-second dance break every day, and so
cool song.
No, but,
we really like this damn. Who was Chipotle?
okay. But so then after dancing, everybody sits down. And then I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird that like we're all surrounded in this conference room right now. And then they like turn off the song and they turn on a PowerPoint that has like my face on it, and I'm like, okay, this is also really weird. And then, so it's so funny whenever I get to this, but it's also depressing, but not. But so then they're like, oh yeah, like this isn't a meeting for RG or artist evaluation. Like this is a meeting for you, Wande. And I'm like, oh okay. And then they're like, oh yeah, like we've been observing you and your character, and blah, blah, blah. And we think that you embody what we're looking for like the next artist to sign to Reach. And then I sit there and I can't display my emotions because Reach has a culture of pranks. And so then I was like, this could be a joke. No, Reach really does have a culture of pranks.
I know, she's told me this story so many times. And every time I'm like, this sounds agonizing.
Oh my God, we look like trash right now.
Oh my God.
No, so then I was like, yo, like, what if this is like some type of elaborate joke? And so I was like, I don't know if I can like show my excitement or not. But then Biz was like, no, like this is real. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, but yeah, then we like went along with the meeting, and then they were like, yeah, and they're like, so get a lawyer and make this happen. And then yeah, and so it was interesting because I was still working there, but it was also good timing because it was right before Christmas break, so I had time to like mentally process and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of just like how it went down. Then in my head, I was like, oh wow, dreams do come true.
Yeah.
So
and back, Erin's point about restoration happens in speed. You prayed, you surrendered, and literally the next day. Which I mean, I'm not saying that God works in that sequence all the time. Like, you need to give a space for His mysterious nuance, which is above our human capacity. But that's just a testimony that a lot of artists just really need to just hear and lean into. Man, that's amazing.
And I think broadly just being able to lean into moments, because again, God was forming a lot of us through that. I don't know if really all of our teams, shout out to Katie, shout out to D, shout out to Lecrae, shout out to Ben,
Biz too,
and Biz, all of our relationships I think got better, and particularly with me and Ace, because I think that was around the time that you had just started to work here. And when I tell you I said some tough stuff, I said a lot of tough stuff during that moment. But it was when I found out who you were through that, which is someone who can hear tough things and still continue to show up relationally. And that was, I think, as a team, us being able to say and hear tough things and really have to reflect about who we are as we wrestle with and make these decisions. Wande, you made us better just by being you. Yeah. Like you weren't even that conversation you were having with God was having a conversation with us, and He was preparing us to really deal with some things as we brought you in. And so I think that and it opens the door for a lot of future things that God is still doing, which we would love to get into. But we're gonna take a break. Yeah. If you're just joining us, my name is Marcus, and I've had the pleasure to be here with my good friend
Ace Harris.
And this is the 116 Live on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 1.
5.
4.
And I think, sorry to cut you off. I think what would be dope is to hear how Erinn comes into this picture.
Oh, yeah.
We're on a nice chronological.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of, y'all stay tuned.
We're going to do that. And if you're just joining us, we're here with Wande and Erinn Knight, management team, business partner to Wande, and we're going to get more into that story and what God is doing through them. But first, we're going to take a break and hear some amazing Christian hip-hop music. So keep it locked. It's Holy Culture Radio. So welcome back. If you're just joining us, my name is Marcus, and I'm joined here by one of my dearest friends. His name is Ace Harris.
What's up?
And we are hosting the 116 Life, a brand new show on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 1,
5,
4, and we have the pleasure to be in studio today with Wande and her manager, business partner, collaborator, Erinn Knight.
Thank you.
And we've been having a wonderful conversation about Wande's career and her trajectory. We've covered some of the more difficult, I would say, aspects of what it was like to break in to the professional side of being an artist, getting signed to Reach Records. Wande, thank you so much again for sharing that aspect of your story with us. And we thought it'd be great now to talk about y'all's business relationship and some of what has come through that. So Erinn, it would be great to hear from you. What was sort of the moment that made y'all come together and say, you know what, it's winning time?
Love that.
I will say that you said some of the more difficult aspects. Like, this whole thing has been difficult. I think the only thing that hasn't been difficult has been our relationship. And we've even had some rough patches in that once we started working together, just figuring out communication styles. But yeah, I think people think that especially when they look at people like me and Wande, because we're both kind of like more upbeat people, that it's easy at all. And it's anything but easy for us, especially as Black women, especially working, you know, I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, so I guess for me, yeah, She Got Aesthetic. I like the song, but my friends who don't listen to Christian music at all were playing it for me. And I hadn't heard it yet. So that was my introduction to it. And then, I don't know.
It was Lisa's party? Or Lisa and Mia's party?
Maybe.
It was
I know Akleso had called me
Akleso.
and was like, yo, I'm in town because Wande's about to get signed to Reach. And I was like, lit.
That was before. Yeah, that was before. Yeah.
I was like, lit. I knew she always wanted that. I was like, but I thought they didn't sign people who worked with them. Like, I was very confused. So then I was like, I want to pull up and support her. Again, like sister to sister type thing. So I'm like, yo, do you think she'd be cool if I pulled up? And he was like, I don't know. Reach is kind of strict about people knowing their
so
address.
many perception thing coming out.
You know, like whatever. So I just text Wande, and we weren't like friends, but she lived in Atlanta. We would see each other. We had a relationship because of the event that she had got me at South by, or the building. So I pull up, I'm like, yo, congrats. I just wanted to be in the building because I knew it was like monumental. You know, like I was very fresh to Christian hip hop, maybe like a year and a half before that. I had really got my feet wet, and I just wanted to support her. You know, like I'm like that. If there's a Black woman out doing her thing, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm there to support, but especially because it was so close to home. So pulled up there. But I think we just kind of kept talking after that. She would sometimes hit me on like random questions, but nothing too intrusive. But what's the Misa party thing?
So that's whenever we reconnected again, because Misa and Mia were having like I think it was like a birthday party or something, or a baby shower.
They do the best parties.
Yeah, and so we were just sitting there talking about life, and then you were like, oh, how's life going? And then I think I was about to drop an album, and then you were like, are you about to drop an album by yourself? Because I was telling about like how I had like transitioned out of like a whole management team and whatever.
You hadn't even transitioned at that point.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that conversation, but I do know that at some point I found out that she was in a shaky management situation, and it was like she was about to hit her album cycle. Because I think I was asking about music because Blessed Up was going up, whatever. And she was like, oh, yeah, I'm just trying to figure that out. This is kind of what I'm going through with my manager. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't want to pry too much. And we were in a public setting and it's a party. But I remember I was on the Family Ties tour at that time with like Dill, Stephen Malcolm, Cannon. And I just remember hitting her like, yo, you doing all right? And she was like, she just kind of like let me know. Like she via text like was just telling me, I don't know what to do about this, and I'm jammed up here, and this is happening. I got to pay this type of money. And I was like, yo.
Whoa.
I said, can I call you tomorrow? She was like, yeah. So I call her. I'm like, I don't want to impose anything, but you shouldn't be handling this on your own as an artist. Can I kind of help guide you through this management transition? And then I'll help you before you, like, just leading up to the album. I was like, I'm sure Reach will take care of you once the album drops, but like, let me help you pre-album cycle so you're not handling all of this stuff on your own. And she was like, oh my God, yes, like, please, like, I'll take it, da-da-da. I was like, I'm not encroaching. I don't want you to feel any type of way, whatever. So that was a 3-month period. And then after the 3 months, I just kind of texted her again, like casually, and was like, hey, what do you think about me managing you? And she was like, I've wanted you to manage me my whole career. And I was like, yo, what?
What?
She was like, yeah, like you are my ideal type manager. Like that's exactly what I want. Wow. So I was like, okay, like let's take a couple weeks and like pray about it. And if it is supposed to happen, let's keep it moving. And so we prayed for 2 weeks, and I didn't hear a no. And so I never heard God be like, yes, work with Wande. But so many things happened in that 2-week span that were like, yes, 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 yes. So I was like, okay, hey, I'm not hearing anything that we shouldn't work together. Like, let's make this happen. And she was like, bet, let's do it. So it's just been since then. But it started out very ugly. Like I ended up kind of making some enemies at the very beginning of our working relationship just to try to get her out of that relationship, her previous management relationship. So that was unique. I learned a lot about how to intervene and how not to intervene in those. I've since taken over management for other artists, and because of that, it taught me a lot. But that was a
we all learn.
Yeah. I want to hear, Erinn. It was something that you said. I heard you say that this whole thing has been difficult as Black women. I would love to hear more. Yeah. I'm intrigued. What is that? What do you mean by that?
I think in America, I think in the world, Black women just have a plight to deal with that so many people don't understand, but it's a patriarchal society. We're the most educated people group here, but the most underpaid, the least married, you know what I'm saying? So we're fighting social norms just to get in the door, and then when you look at Christian society, Black women are just subservient. They're provocative. They're things that need to be tamed if you look at the way that Christian society speaks to us, right? So y'all did a groundbreaking thing signing the first Christian hip hop rapper, and we talk about this often. She's the first woman to make a full-time living in Christian hip hop ever.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like that. So that was a process for us to even get her there, because she kept working with y'all, and then she was living off of her savings, and then we went into the pandemic. So it was like a whole process just for us to be able to make her career sustainable. I'm in the process of, at that time, starting a new company, working full-time in music. She's not bringing in a lot of money, but I'm spending most of my time with her. So it was like, there's just this insane tension. We got on a reality TV show that was going to be life-changing to us, and then that show got dropped. And, it was just so many ups and downs. Even when it came to her first project coming out, she had half the project, and then half the beats went missing, for a reason. And just so many things. It's just been consistent strife, and then even fighting to be understood. We've had to have a lot of conversations about understanding, and you talked about how I am as a business person versus as I had to recognize that people just didn't hear me. So walking into rooms, I couldn't come in yelling. I had to find out how to really be assertive, because not only am I advocating for myself, but I'm advocating for an artist who is not somebody that we see a lot. And when Wande got signed, it wasn't the landscape of hip hop right now where women are really big up. It was still very much, do you like Nicki or Cardi?
That's true. Yeah, that landscape was, Sorry,
so it's like all of those things we're coming into, and then it's like, okay, what is COVID? What is her branding going to be? Because she's into makeup and being extremely feminine, but there's not a space for that in Christian music, So there were a lot of things that we had to combat. Just like representing her well, me finding my voice as a manager. I had only worked with a woman one time else, and I always tell people I don't work with women because if they get pregnant, it kills the career. So and that's exactly what happened. I was working with this woman, we were killing it. She got pregnant, and then was like because it's not even just, people just stop taking you seriously if you have a baby. So it's like, even with Wande, now we have things set up so when she does decide to have children and all of those things, but it's like, it's society, it's Christianity, it's being Black in America, we're fighting all those things, and then just trying to navigate the Christian space myself, because I came from rock music, and then I was working in underground hip hop in Atlanta, so I was fresh to the Christian space. So even kind of walking into Christian music and being like, well, I want to do this, this, and this, and y'all are like, well, this is what we do, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what I want to do, and then trying to find that happy medium, learning how to communicate with y'all. I'd only worked with one other label, it was Def Jam, and that was a whole different experience. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a hard journey the whole way, but I think that is the grace that we have, and that's why the Lord has made it so easy for us, I think, on the inside of the winner's circle, because it's so tumultuous on the outside of it.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. What I'm sitting with is what you talked about: society, Christianity, and Christian hip hop. As a Black woman, there's in that narrative that I heard you share, they're layers. And I just want to honor you giving us and our listeners the opportunity to hear the reality of that. Thank you so much. And you started to talk about that's outside the winner's circle. Talk to us about the inside of the winner's circle. What is that?
So the winner's circle is me, Wande, and Naj. I like how you said business partners, because that's really how we function. It's a partnership to support the vision that God has given Wande, but she's open to us in putting on the vision. And so we all are co-leaders in a way, you know? So the winner's circle is me, Naj, and Wande. It's what so I'm big on names, you know, because the Bible says a name is above everything. It's like, you know, so I'm big on my reputation. I'm big on how people speak about people. So anytime we're walking into something, I want to name it. So when Naj joined the management team, she started out as Wande's assistant when we shot the Woo video. She moved up here on a whim, had like $300 in her pocket. It was crazy. She didn't tell us any of that. She booked a consultation with Wande just to meet Wande. Naja's a genius. I love her. She's a genius. But she came and helped out at that video. And I was like, yo, we need to bring her on because she does stuff that I don't want to do and I can't do. Because again, I have several other businesses. I was very much day-to-day involved with Wande for a year, but I couldn't handle that anymore. So maybe a month later, Wande hired her. So when we started our group chat with all three of us, I named it the Winner's Circle because Wande's name before she got married, or what is it? The acronym is WIN.
Wande Ishola.
Oh, so it was Wande Ishola Network. That's what it was. Yeah. Just like Oprah has a network, she has own. Wande was like, I want to have my own network. And so that was her. Wande's acronym was always WIN. So I called it the Winner's Circle, and I feel like that was the energy immediately. They both read it, and they were like, okay. Like, I have a lot of different names for different groups we have, but Winner's Circle has been the most predominant one because it's like when we come together, we're here to unite for a win. And I think that's the energy that we've always taken into everything. And so, like, walking into this year, it's the second year that we've been together as the Winner's Circle, and I'm seeing the cohesion just take us to another level.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wande, I'm curious from your angle, what can you tell us about a recent moment where the Winner's Circle got a win?
I mean, we've been getting wins, every day. I would say like, cause what are we in February now? I would say like the past 2 weeks, God's been going crazy.
Yeah, talk about that.
And it's ironically from the same posture of like whenever I just like fully submitted to God and like was not worried about chasing things, like things just exploded. So I would say like a recent win was just like, these videos that we got put out. So every year we meet for our goals for the year. So we had our goals for the year. We're like, okay, bet, let's commit to consistency. We committed to consistency. So we made these TikTok videos about like Bible characters and stuff like that. And it's crazy. They like all of them were hitting millions. Like one has like 4 million on TikTok right now. I went up on TikTok like 80,000 followers. So like now I'm like over 200K. On Instagram, I went up like 70,000 followers.
Sheesh.
My music went up like something.
30,000
30,000 listeners. Yeah, so that's a crazy win that's happening over like the last week and a half. And so, God's been moving. So it's been beautiful
Netflix.
for us. Oh yeah, Netflix. So don't worry about it. Netflix shows it for the opening credits of to advertise a new show that's coming out, and they put it in the show too for one of the episodes. So God's been going crazy, and it's been cool because it's like in almost a resting season per se. It's just like almost the consistency of showing up and just doing what we're called to do, but not forcing. Like then the Lord has been honoring that. And
I have a question. That's amazing too. Like, did you talk to us about how the TikTok videos were created? Was that something y'all sat and planned? Like, what is the genesis of that thing? Because I mean, my wife was looking at it. Yes, I have been telling her about it, and she hadn't checked it out yet. But so she was scrolling through, and it came up on her feed, and she's like, "Wow!" I was like, "Yo, I told you it's the one." And so, talk to us about like the origin of that content.
Yeah, I think it's really just being myself type stuff. So there's a dude named Chris, which is cool because I had a performance at Transformation Conference, and so we actually got to meet up there. And so he's a big TikToker. And so he does like a whole bunch of like different skits and stuff like that. And so we like feed off of each other. And so, so he started off doing the trend of like, of
The
like
Shibuya roll
the
call.
Shibuya roll call. So
Okay.
and then I like it's actually a Christian remix, and then I love doing Christian remixes. So people were like, "Wande, like you have to hop on this," like, and I was like, "Oh yeah, like I love Jesus and I love remixes, so this is perfect." So then I just added like my personality into it in terms of like bringing in my wigs, bringing in like the glam aspect, and then covering like women characters in the Bible. And so yeah, it was really fun, and then it just blew up, and so. It's almost like a testimony of like the authenticity of like that's where the win is, and like truly being yourself, because like that was opposed to fully being myself. Like you get all the wigs that I love, you get like me being ridiculous, which I love being ridiculous.
And biblical bars.
Yeah,
Come
biblical
on.
bars. Yeah,
I
The
love
bars
that.
go crazy.
It's like educational.
Yeah.
Yes. And then she cites the verses in the comments. I don't
Yeah.
know if you saw that.
I saw.
It's wild.
Yeah, so that like I feel like that post actually embodies a lot of who I am as a human. So like I love having fun, I love laughing, I love Jesus, I love like actually being accurate with the Bible, love rapping, love hip hop, and then I love the
You're
glam.
right.
So
It all kind of culminates.
yeah,
And
and so-
She's been talking about that too. I think when you were asking, had we planned it, in the meeting, she was like, I'm just going to commit to being who I'm supposed to be. She kept saying, God's been telling me I need to just be consistent on socials. And we've chased trends before and they never felt right. And then she's also been saying like, I just want to get back to like comedy and Jesus. I just want to be funny in Jesus, and I want women to feel edified. And so it literally was something that happened out the blue. She didn't have a face on, nothing. She just did it. And I was like, yo, this is actually really funny. And then she was like, we may have 1 million release. I was like, because I saw it in my feed too. And then it just started blowing. And then she did another one. And then she did another one. And it's like, it's just a testament again to consistency. She just went back to what was working.
And I think what I hear in there inside the winner circle is collaboration and a space where you could arrive at what it meant to be who you are and kind of find those things that really matter to you and find support in bringing those things to life.
What a nugget for all artists, creative people, like leaning into what speaks to you and not trying to chase what you think will work. And just owning that and then being consistent with that.
Yep.
And then also surrendering the results to, I mean, did you imagine
I wasn't. I was like,
Yeah.
oh snap! Like I was shook,
Yeah.
like because I told her like, oh, maybe in a week we'll hit 1 million, and then it was in 24 hours, and then the next
Wow.
one,
Winning.
yeah. Then I was like, oh, let's follow it up. So praise the Lord that we were able to follow it up. So I think that's one goal I've been working on, like having follow ups.
Yeah.
So praise
Sure.
the Lord, I was able to hit the follow up. And then the follow up is the one that like blew up because then that one is the one that's like hitting like 4 million, whatever. And so it's just crazy because it's like multiple platforms hitting millions. So I'm like, this is insane. So
That's
and then I was like,
amazing.
you got to post, don't worry about it. So that's the last, so if people see this video on their feed and then they come see your page, then they know you're a rapper and not just a comedian.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
then it's like,
management.
So then, it started popping. So we're seeing don't worry about it spike, so yeah.
It's the winner circle. And on that's our time for today. And I just want to give a special thank you first to you, Wande, for coming and again sharing these moments from your story and your career. And it's an honor to be a part of this journey with you and to be sitting in this moment. Erinn, thank you also so much for bringing the honesty and helping bring this circle full circle, because it really wouldn't be complete without you. And to our listeners as well for supporting our show, to Holy Culture, to you, Ace, for being such a good friend in this process.
To you, Marcus, for being just the same.
And so if you're just joining us, once again, my name is Marcus, and I'm joined by my good friend
Ace Harris. Shout out Marcus for standing on tables and being Kanye.
And we've been talking about the career and the business goals of Wande and Erinn Knight. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM channel 154, and we're here every week Tuesdays at 8 Eastern, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Thank you so much.